We'll speak about this. We are now recording the April 22nd, 2016 Small Business Accounting Advisors. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. So, Dennis, you're asking about next week. Next week is HubDoc, and we have Matt coming on. It was originally supposed to be Jamie, but his son has a dinner for his hockey team.
Oh.
So some things are more important. You just cannot compete with that.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Kids come first. I'm happy about that. So how was everyone's week? Dennis, you're still doing tax returns.
Yeah, I was talking about my client that had the IRS agent drop in out of the ceiling demanding, 7 years of tax returns by the 30th. So I'm about halfway done with that.
They're just going to have to get fined. I don't know how they can. It's not
well, what's really weird is that they didn't even know he had a C Corp. I discovered that. And it's the C Corp that has all the money. His 1040's got all these, he's basically a day trader. So he's got all these losses carried forward that he wipes out all of his regular income. It's just he owes taxes on his C Corp. And so it's kind of a big mess.
It certainly is. It certainly is, especially if he needs 7 years worth of stuff in 2 weeks and he has no way of getting it.
Yeah, actually it was supposed to be done on the 1st of April, but I was able to get the IRS Treasury, the revenue officer, to give us some extra time, so I was able to buy about a month. And so I suppose he's going to mail the ones I gave him today to the IRS, so at least give them something so we don't do a data dump on the 29th,
Right.
Which they would not appreciate.
I'm sure.
I also got an interesting phone call from and maybe Joanne and Misha might want to weigh on this, about this one guy. He called me. Apparently he got a CO cancellation of debt, 1099-C. And so he set up a payment plan, and he's about 3 years into it, and he was talking to an IRS person and said, he was making a payment. The guy says, "Why are you making a payment? Isn't this aren't you excluded by the, the mortgage, the law where you don't?"
Yeah.
So now we're going to try to recover that. And he had to, it was for year 2012, so he had to file an amended return on the very last day to get in on the cutoff. So.
Oh
my God. The original return picked up the income.
Pardon me?
Who filed his original return picked up that income? It's excluded if you get a discharge of debt, and it is on your mortgage. It's on your home mortgage, your principal residence. Then you can exclude that from income. It's basically part of like a short sale.
Right. I know it's on a second mortgage, but as far as I know he used the second mortgage for he didn't go out and buy a car or anything like that. So
I had a client just had that this year where they actually moved out of state, and they ended up doing a short sale, and they ended up selling the property for $140, and they still had $170 on their mortgage. But because the bank settled for it, which is a very rare occurrence when they do something like that, they issue the 1099-C, but there's a box or something that you can mark to make that exclusion.
Yeah, I know.
You just got to answer a couple of questions, like, have you been living in the house X amount of time?
Right. So that's kind of interesting. He may call me back. He's going to talk to his wife. I told him what I would charge him for working on it, so he's going to talk to his wife. He may not call back. He did it on TurboTax, so he did it himself.
Yeah.
It's one of these TurboTax screw-ups. Yeah, that's what I said.
Stop it. Here's one. Talking about taxes, though, I do have one thing I wanted to bring up. I shared it on Facebook the other day when I was doing my extensions. Is I had a client that came to me. I've known him for years, years and years and years, and he came to me last year. I put an extension. He's not in my area. He's probably a couple of hours away. And then he never ended up coming to me to do the taxes. And I didn't think anything of it because really I was just doing him a favor with a personal return. I usually only do personal returns for people who have, business returns I have to do for them.
Right.
And so he came to me there. He goes, I know you're going to kill me, but can you please do it? I really want you to do it. It's a little like complicated, sure. So
Man, you're going in and out. You're fading in and out.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So he gives me his last year's return, which was done by let's just say some company that rhymes with clock.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And they charged him just over $400, and all as he had was 3 W-2s and 2006 mileage.
He had 3 W-2s and what?
And 2106 mileage.
Oh, 2106, yeah.
Yeah, a mileage. That was it.
There's a reason I stopped working there, Joanne, and went on my own because I was tired of highway robbery of my clients.
Well, don't they charge by form?
Yes.
And I mean,
I
it
don't
takes
know.
like maybe 0.5 seconds to generate the form, and it'll charge you, what, $50 for it? Or
It's
That's
ridiculous.
a shame. That is a shame.
So the funny part about it, after I made that post on Facebook, he messaged me privately and he goes, "That was me you were talking about, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'm glad to hear you're going to charge me that much." I said, "No, you will be very happily surprised."
Well, you know what? That shows.
Maybe I should raise my rates.
Oh, yeah. Well, you could do that. But that shows that you have to be very careful what you say anywhere on Facebook and Hangouts, on Zoom meetings that are recorded.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, I was specific to say that I didn't, and I think I kind of he was on my Facebook. I wasn't. I was kind of saying it in a way where I wanted him to see it because when I heard that he went to the clock place, I was like, really? And I think it was because he was afraid to come back to me because he waited so long.
Aw.
But
Well, Joanne to the rescue again.
yeah, sucker.
Has anybody heard how these other ones are doing? Like, what's the one, Liberty Tax, had that person stand outside with this, look, the statue.
I feel sorry for that person because tax season starts in the winter and it could be snowing, like it could be a blizzard. And
Not in
there's that
February.
Liberty tax person standing on the corner, waving their hand.
I have a good friend that owns one of those franchises.
Oh.
So
They
they're doing
kept
well?
sending me emails to try to buy one. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I want to downgrade my reputation.
I had some Liberty Tax people call me in to clean up books so they could do taxes for some of their clients.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a good referral source for people who are just looking for QuickBooks work, definitely, if they don't have anybody in there that's doing it.
Well, that's good to know that they're doing that. Many don't.
Well, and this was two different Liberty Tax places. One was in Ontario and one was in Rancho. But that was it was probably more than 5 years ago. So.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Well, what's tricky about them too is they're all franchise. They're completely franchised. So, there's
Yeah.
some offices that are actually probably really great,
Yeah.
and other
Not
offices
so.
like the ones in New York and New Jersey that are every single person is going to jail this year. Literally.
That's a
I
little
had-
scary.
I went to a fundraiser last night and was sitting at a table with a partner from another firm, and he's my age, and we started talking, and he's another one of those partners who they're happy with Excel and email, and anything other than that somebody else has got to do it. And I was telling him a lot of things that we were doing, and he just like glazed over, and he just went, "You're just talking Greek." He goes, "I know I am behind the times, but look, I just did 2,500 returns," and he started rattling all this. He says, "All I want to do is tax. I'm really lousy at all this accounting stuff." He said even my partner, he said, we don't want it. And I said, oh, you mean the accounting? And he goes, yeah, I don't want any of the
Don't you need accounting to do the taxes? I mean,
Well, the more he talked, he's like, he said, I don't know how to train people to do it. He said, and I said, most of the firms in town are in the same boat. They don't have systems. They don't have a manager that handles small businesses. They may hire a couple bookkeepers, but everybody's doing their own thing. And, I said, the only way you're going to survive is to really see what tools are out there and catch up. And
how old is he?
He's my age. He's mid-50s.
So he's got a lot of years left to work.
Yeah, and he's just, he's looking at me like, can't we just hold out till I retire? And I'm like, no, buddy, you can't hold out till you retire. You got to do it now. And so I told him that the convention was in Vegas. He says, now I could do that. And then when we were walking out the door, he's telling people, I'm getting on my accounting to Sarah. Sarah's taking on my accounting. I'm taking it. And my husband's like, oh no. And his wife's looking at him like, which clients, like that? And then he said, I'll let her decide which clients. And that's when my husband goes, oh no. So it was funny. It was really funny. But I mean, it's typical. It's really typical.
Yeah.
He's in a race against time before he can retire and before he becomes.
I know.
It's like. And
he said, look, we love tax. But, so but I'm not, I downsized on purpose.
Right.
And I'm just, there's so much work out there.
So what happens if the IRS decides to give everybody a $25,000 standard, deduction and, renders the itemized deductions irrelevant?
Yeah, you mean making the
Schedule A's
returns simpler?
Yeah, just give them a 25. They talked about raising the standard to like $25,000.
Yeah, that would knock out. Well, you know what? That's better for the country.
It would certainly knock out the 1040 business.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and then he would be done. He would be done for sure.
Well, I mean, he was talking about, he has a lot of corps.
Well, if you do a lot of business returns, then it's not as much of, you're not competing against TurboTax. Although I have seen TurboTax does have some business, programs.
Yeah, I do mine on TurboTax.
Well, that's because you're qualified to do it, not.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of times I answer the questions and I go.
Yeah, that's the key, is to answer the questions.
Yeah.
Like this one client I had said the only way he could get TurboTax to take the amount was to do something weird, and so he did.
Override.
Now he's being audited because of the weird thing he did. He basically combined two K1s, 2008 and 2009, into one entry.
Oh no.
And then made it active when it was passive. And so I think that's what kicked out. And now he's got a world of hurt.
Oh,
he's not my client anymore, thank God. But
well, you wouldn't have done that.
Well, I was told, I mean, the thing was such a mess. I was told the IRS has raised the blade, so to speak, on the audit.
Oh,
which is kind of nice.
See, that's why I don't do taxes.
Me either. When I took a tax class in college, I went, I have no way. And that's why I never sat for the CPA. Because there was so much that I knew I was never going to do.
Right.
Now I regret it, but
It's
been a lot easier when I was younger.
I'm like the total opposite. I'm like, give me tax returns every day.
Really?
Like,
yuck.
Dealing with journal entries and charts of accounts. I'm like, okay. I'll clean your crap up, but only because you're paying me.
That's right.
Well, speaking of cleaning up crap.
Nice segue.
Nice segue, right? Linda and Heather worked on a project today, this morning, together. 2 ProAdvisors they called in.
Wow.
You want to speak about that?
Sure.
You want to take the lead, Linda, or you want me to share?
Well, I don't care. I'll take the lead and then you can jump in. But
all right.
The thing you need to know is Heather did not set up this data file either. She was originally called in What do you do there for them? Like monthly
It's one
reconciliation?
of those come in and clean up the mess things.
Oh, okay. But what happened is they had a mess with inventory valuation. And so they thought, well, if we have two people, two heads, two minds are better than one. And we said, sure. And so anyway, I got your email after I got home, Heather.
That's okay, because we
Nicely
covered
sent me
history
an
when you
email,
first got there.
actually an hour and a quarter before the appointment saying, did I want to talk ahead of the appointment? So, but I'd worked with Heather before on other things, so I didn't mind doing it. And I
Now, did they just randomly call two people and it happened to be two people that knew each other? No?
No, I've been working with them for probably the last year. They had a lady that was working in their office who converted them from Premier to Enterprise,
got it.
but didn't have the knowledge or experience to handle the inventory and the assembly build. And so she had kind of sort of created a mess. And they hired me last year to come in and figure out the mess and show them how to use the assembly build. So I did that. I showed them how to use the assembly build
You
and
hated that, right?
yep, the proper way, the right way to do it. And then the owner's wife, who took over for this woman on the day-to-day accounting, wasn't comfortable with the change, didn't want to do it. So we sat down and we looked at what they were doing currently and created this new way to handle assembly builds within the QuickBooks Enterprise format. But it wasn't working.
Well, it was a good system, but they had
The data
separate
was wrong.
inventory adjustments into two parts. Today we put them together. And in other words, and I think this is actually very, very clever, and I may actually use it with some other clients of mine that are having trouble with accurate inventory.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And what they did is, instead of doing assembly builds with build assembly items, okay, what they do is they go into make an inventory adjustment, and Heather has set up an inventory adjustment variance account on the balance sheet that it goes to. And they take each of the inventory parts that they're going to use to build this assembly item, and they say, okay, we're going to take, let's say they're going to make 100 bottles of wine. So they need 100 caps, they need 100 bottles, and they choose the right size bottle, and then they need a certain amount of juice. And that's already in the units it needs to be in. So they say, okay, 100, and this amount of 100 amounts of the juice. And they're taking that out. They're making the quantity that they have lower by a certain amount. So then what they do, they would save that, and then they would go add the bottles. Well, we decided to add the bottles that made on the same inventory adjustment because we could see the valuation, and we could see if it was right, wrong, or indifferent, how close it was. And that worked really well. So now, out of what they took out, they created 100 bottles of this particular kind of wine. And they have like almost hundreds of different wines that they make. So it's not something you can memorize per se. And they have like different size bottles they make and different size caps and all that. But it works out very well. And then when you look, so you're minusing things out of raw materials and you're adding them to finished goods.
And the net is zero. The value is really a zero.
It really is a zero.
It should
But
be
what
under
happens,
a couple dollars.
yeah, 24 cents.
Right.
And so it's a really clever way to do it. And
But
so
isn't that what assembly builds does for you anyway?
Yes, it is. It
exactly
is.
what an assembly build does for you.
But this makes more sense.
So unless you don't have the inventory of the goods. If
Right,
you
and
don't
it
have
tells
enough goods to make it, you can't do it.
No.
And it creates problems and
No.
negative inventory.
This is less painful.
Stops production.
Yes. And it's very easy to do. It's very easy for them to understand.
It still makes a good audit trail.
Now, the other
It does leave a clean audit trail.
It does. Now, the other problem they were having was that the poor owner's wife thought that the way she should make the bottles was just when she set up that new inventory item,
Yeah.
just put that in, this is how much inventory we have. You know,
Oh,
where you're
yeah.
filling, you're starting with, this is what you start with.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
What
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 she
account does it put it to?
what she was doing, Linda, is she
Every
was
time.
using. Yeah, what she was doing is she was using the markup and her cost, her retail base cost price in the assembly build, which was wrong.
Right.
She only should have been using the inventory values for what she was taking out of the raw material inventory and moving into the finished goods inventory.
Yeah, that
But-
messes up your profit margin. Yeah.
And
So
well,
that's
and it took us forever to pinpoint that that's what one of the critical issues was with this. So as a result of this collaboration this morning, we fixed 2 big issues, which was
That's awesome.
But it actually, I only charge them for an hour of time. So we started slow, but we built momentum throughout that hour. And then at the end of the hour, she was going to go back and fix all the entries for this year. I thought she doesn't need both me and Heather. She can use me or she can use Heather.
Right.
I thought the lead because Heather's been working with them. Now, they had called me in for some printer problems and that. And part of it is I had actually worked with them probably 10 years ago or more when they had the wine tailor.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And
I was going to ask you what your history was with them because there seemed to be a really cool familiarity with between you and them.
Yeah, and I followed their Facebook friends, you know, so I was able to say like, well, how many dogs do you guys have now? And the husband
And they
goes,
have 5.
They love that. Yeah.
no, we have 20 feet. I
Well,
count.
here's a question. Did you guys get in the car and go over there and do this together, or were you doing it online?
No, we actually met there.
We all met there, but we all drove separately. Remember, I had a flat tire.
Oh. But could you have done this through a Zoom meeting?
No.
We could have, but it wouldn't have been as easy. It was, look, Heather was 5 minutes from the office. I was 10.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I'm saying, you know, well, sometimes you just have to be there to see source documents.
Well, yeah.
The other thing is when you're there in person, you
Mhm.
notice all the nonverbals.
Yes.
And
Yes.
at one point, the husband said to me, wouldn't you like some coffee? And I said, oh, I would love some coffee. I need to get out of the room for a few minutes. And so we walked over to make coffee and we left Heather and Angela because it was kind of,
Angela was getting a little agitated because there was a lot of conversation
we're all
going on.
telling her, do this, do this, do this. And it's like,
Yeah.
what? What?
Yeah.
What? You know, so yeah, so that was perfect the way we were able. And if we hadn't seen the nonverbals, it would have been a little bit more difficult. Now, they wouldn't have felt quite so much pressured maybe if we weren't there in person, but I think it's just easier with that.
Mm-hmm.
I was closer to the tire store where they could fix my tires. So
Oh, good. I'm glad you got your car fixed.
it all worked out great. So, yeah, I like collaborating. We have another woman who hasn't been able to be on our Zoom Hangouts for a while, Yvette Shaw, but she and I have collaborated on doing some
Mhm.
proposals. Now, we haven't ended up getting the business, but it's really nice when you can collaborate on something. That one was a combination bed and breakfast, gift shop, restaurant.
Oh, wow.
And
That's,
she's not familiar with the bed and breakfast, with the restaurant, and I was more familiar with the short-term rentals and gift
Mhm.
shop. So
That's great. That is great when your strengths complement each other like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great when you can collaborate, especially because, you know, when you're out there by yourself, it's so difficult. And maybe if you have somebody, they can see the things that maybe you're missing, and
Right.
it becomes much better and smoother.
right.
So good job for both of you guys.
Hey, high five.
High five.
Bye.
Wow.
Yeah, Yvette has called a couple times and we can bounce ideas off each other and
Sorry, guys.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I had to flip over and answer somebody's question. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, Sarah, you're
Yeah.
next on the list. I want to talk about IPN. Katrina wanted to talk about that too. I don't know. Let me go back and see what her question is about IPN. I believe that it's ending, period,
Oh, yeah.
the end of May, and that they will not pull the plug on everything until like June. But whether you're QuickBooks 14, 15, 2008, that's it. You just won't get to use the IPN anymore.
Yeah, I learned all kinds of stuff.
Okay, well.
Hold on, I got to figure out how to get back to Zoom because I'm over on something. Sure. I don't want to disconnect you. What I do? Oh, I'm back, I think. Hey, I'm back. Okay. I have to say something real quick because I'm so excited I can't stand it. My stepson just got his doctorate. He's now a doctor, PhD. I knew his orals were today, and I was just like, oh, or his defense, or whatever they call it. Oh, I'm so excited.
Nice, nice.
Okay. All right, IPN. I've been putting off calling support about this because I just heard so many different answers, and I just knew it was going to take a long time. So yesterday I just buckled in, and called. I was transferred 3 times.
Ooh.
And I got a different story every time. I finally got to the merchant services division of Intuit. So, let me see
And Sarah, can I ask why you did not call your ProAdvisor line?
I started there.
Really?
Yeah. See, here's the thing.
That you get
See, well, it wasn't the level of service that was fantastic. It was, there's so many different divisions of Intuit. Like, you'll have a division for the software. You'll have the division for payroll. You have the division for direct deposits, completely different than payroll. You've got QBO. IPN was one, the new payments, okay, is completely separate from merchant services.
Right.
So
that's always
okay, so she finally looked me all up. I have an IPN account that's going away in June apparently, which I knew about, okay? But what my question was, I only use 2 things. I do not invoice with the link and my clients pay me through the invoice. I don't use that service. I scan checks when I get paid by check, right to the deposit and to the bank. And I can also click on a payment and click on e-check, and I take my ACHs that way. Those are the only 2 things I've ever done. Okay. So I was afraid that the e-check was going to go away, and I had no notices, no emails, no anything other than talking to you guys. And then Gina, you sent me that email that you had, and the scanning has been acting up. The last 2 months, I go to scan, I can't, and it's just your account's being set up and all kinds of weird.
Oh, that's right. You had to actually go to the bank last week.
Yeah, I know. I had to get in the car and everything. And so, I'd uninstall the software, reinstall the software, reboot and everything, and it would work for the next deposit, and then it would burp again. So anyway, so I finally got to the merchant services department of Intuit. And those 2 features that I use are not IPN. They're not going away.
Nice.
And I said, okay, then something's wrong with the scanning. And so really what I needed to find out was the symptoms and the scanning because IPN was going away. Or I said, why is it broken now instead of at June? And so they started to troubleshoot the whole scanning thing, except that their first thing, the first thing out of their mouth is delete all your cookies and and cash and everything. And I
Right,
just wasn't prepared to do that, right? So as long as I can take an e-check and continue, because I'm converted everybody, just about everybody, to a monthly contract, and I draft on the 3rd, and it's just so lovely. And then the couple checks that I get, I'll do it the old-fashioned way and go visit the bank for now, until I'm ready to take some more time. But at least I can troubleshoot the scanner later. It's not critical. I've got a lot to do before we go out of town. So, but the biggest, and what I told her, I says, you're the first person to just tell me exactly how all this works. Nobody.
Well, you probably got high enough that you finally got somebody that understood how it all worked.
Well, even in the people talking to the payments people, they're like, yeah, it won't, they're scanning all that's going away. And I'm like, and it wasn't right. So, that's the end of the story for me. I did have an IPN account, and apparently I've never used it.
Okay.
So whatever's going away is, not a problem.
So how do you, is it merchant services that you're working with that's you're scanning to and they
Yes.
check?
Yes.
Okay.
I remember setting it all up and proving I was a corporation and, getting the bank account approved years ago.
I remember, yes.
The part that was upsetting me about this whole dilemma with the IPN is, and when I was reading the literature and the help and everything, they said they highly suggested that you upgrade to 16. And all the links were going to 16. So it gave very little information other than, yes, you need this new payments and you need to go to 16. I couldn't find anybody who would tell me definitively what would happen if I didn't go to 16. It will not work with 14. It will only work with 15 and 16. And that makes me angry because 14 is not sunsetted yet. So they very purposefully have decided 15 and 16.
Mm-hmm. Well, they
So
do that all the time. I know people that
well, it's just low. It's just low. I mean, if you have a client who's very dependent on and is used to this service, and I have one. Monday I have to call and say I've got to convert you to 16 when I was planning on doing 17. I tried, so.
Oh, that's a shame. It's within a couple months.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking about we're talking about multiple licenses.
Mm.
If it were just one, it's no big deal, but yeah.
Do you think that it might have anything, the reason why they chose just 15 and 16 is because those two are the only two that work with Windows 10?
Maybe.
That's what I'm wondering, because 14 will not work with Windows 10 and they are not going to be making it work with Windows 10.
Right.
So,
Right.
No, because they'll be phasing it out in 6 months.
Yes,
Well, that's logical. I mean,
it is logical. It is logical.
it makes sense
it's
then.
annoying.
But is the IPN what's pushing ending IPN? They've got a new payment system. So yes, I'm a developer. I understand that it's very difficult to keep up with.
IPN was the one thing that I did like that I think did work well.
I know.
So they have merchant services and they have QuickBooks payments now. That's what they call that?
Right. But payments takes credit cards and everything, but it didn't mention scanning deposits.
Or the 50 cents ACH.
Right.
Does-
No, I think IPN does do the 50 cent.
The payments does the 50
Right. But I think it's well, now I have the feeling it's all related to AR and links and online, having your client pay online. I don't know.
for the payment solution, for the QuickBooks.
Yeah, the payment, whatever this plan is. Yeah.
Why does Intuit have to be so complicated?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's been around a long time.
With all the copycats, that's why.
You
Yeah.
guys don't even get me started because one of my biggest clients is a subcontractor for Intuit. Seriously, I have to deal with Intuit's AR and AP.
Oh no. That's
Although they're a million times better than PayPal.
yeah.
That's true.
I
That's true.
have to say with the QBO, I really like the integration with the QuickBooks Payment Solutions.
Really. See, that's the thing.
I do. And
The new coding,
Well,
you know,
too.
it makes sense. I would hope it would be better.
when I first started using it, I was a little frustrated because I didn't know and understand it. And then I got on the phone with Intuit, and like you, I went for transfer. Finally got to somebody who actually explained to me how it worked, gave me a little mini tutorial, and I absolutely love the thing. I've now converted my payroll clients to ACH monthly payments, and I process that through the QBO payment, QuickBooks Payment Solution, whatever that thing is.
Really?
Absolutely love it. I get the
Paychecks.
detailed reports that I need and want. If I have an issue with a client
Yeah.
working on their files and I have an issue with that, I can actually go into their payment solutions portal. I
Get
can
out.
look at the detail. I can figure out what the deposits are without having to go and bug and pick at my clients and wait for them to get back to me and give me an answer. Absolutely loving it.
Wait a minute. So you're not talking about receiving money. You can always also pay money. Were you saying it that way?
No,
That
I
you
actually no. I use it just to receive. I haven't figured out how to pay anybody that way yet.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like a sneaky way to, not sneaky, but a creative way to pay net paychecks.
Not yet.
Because what's killing me, right now I have such complex nonprofit setup and desktop that works so well. And I love my payroll on desktop. I'm costing out, and then they rip my head off with the direct deposit. So I've got one client. I have one bookkeeper that's worked for me like 16 years. And she's just one of those that sits in the corner and cranks out work, and I leave her alone. But I'm trying to get more and more of the work on smart sheets and everything documented so that I'm not so dependent on her. She's not, she needs to be able to do more from home and things like that. So it's more of a getting my office organized. And so we're going client by client. What do you do? How are you doing it? It's all because I'm so far removed these days on some of these clients. So she was telling me she has one client who will not pay the direct deposit fees. And so the bank set it up, and they, for $20 a month, my bookkeeper can dial into their account and just ACH money right to the employees.
Nice.
But there's room for error to me. I mean, she's keying in nets.
Right.
And, but look at $20 versus, $80. That's huge.
Oh, it is.
How do now it's taking her more time. I'm getting as much monthly fee out of them as I know I can get. So if we can, anything where we can button up our processes in-house, we'll make more money in the long run. But
have you considered going to the Intuit online payroll?
yes, it's not going to work for me now.
Okay.
I've got too much job costing.
I know that the Sync Manager used to integrate the online payroll to the desktop, and they did away with that. The IIF format still works as far as importing goes, and because I have two clients that are still using desktop, but they're using the Intuit online payroll, the IOP.
Mm-hmm.
And we export the IIF file, and then I go into their desktop and I import the IIF file, and that part of it's seamless.
Mm-hmm.
The direct deposit is all handled through the IOP. The electronic tax filing, quarterly returns, that's all handled through the IOP.
That's getting more and more attractive, that idea, instead of me doing doing quarterlies. How about paying the taxes? Do they take them out?
Yeah, it's all electronic.
I know, but then we pay them early.
Yeah.
Which is no big deal. Nobody's making any interest on their bank accounts anymore. It's not like.
Yes.
And when you say early, you're talking, what, a couple weeks?
Well, yeah. And actually, now that, we just finished all the first quarter, everybody gets nailed on their unemployment that first quarter and then
Right.
it comes off. So it would make that a little bit more palatable if they're paying in to with IPNs, I guess, escrow or whatever, but yeah.
So Sarah, if you have IPN, and I'm asking for Katrina because she's saying now it will be called QB payments, correct? Okay,
Right.
IPN and QB payments are separate.
Right.
IPN is what's going away.
Correct.
Now, do you automatically,
No.
you have to call them and get
Yes.
switched over?
Yes.
That's what I thought. So Katrina, if you have someone that's using IPN and you need to switch to the QB payments, you will actually have to call support to get that done.
Right. Or that email that you sent me, Gina, that was a link on what to do. And so why isn't everybody on IPN getting that email is what I want to know.
Well, I shut down my IPN last year sometime. I had some problems with clients' information.
Right.
So
You still
I
have
shut
email?
mine down, but I never turn it off in my QuickBooks. So when I turn on QuickBooks, I get this notice that you need to turn on your IPN. Well, now I'm getting other notices that IPN is going away, and that's where that email came from.
Well, I'm not getting any notices. That's what's weird. Because I
Maybe
do have an
because you don't
IPN
have an
account.
IPN.
Well,
I
no,
have-
she did.
They said I had one. I just never used it.
So maybe
But then
some of the
You would think clients are, well, it depends on who's got control of the QuickBooks file. If they've got the QuickBooks file, you think the clients would be getting notices?
in theory they should be.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's something like this payroll, Heather, we can bounce ideas off each other like in this format, but then it's being recorded. Whereas if we could, have an issue with any of these programs and be able to collaborate together.
Well, we can absolutely do that, Sarah.
Right. See, I would love to say, all right, here's my most complex payroll client. I want to stay on desktop. Ooh, it's getting ready to storm. And since I don't know that much about the online payroll, I need somebody who really knows that online payroll. Say, okay, can you do what I'm doing in IPN? And then maybe January 1, that's, I start rolling off of desktop.
That's what I did. I rolled out at the beginning of each tax year, and I started off with one client, and then I rolled in the next one and the next one. And I now have all my clients on the IOP, with the exception of one. And it's because the IOP still can't handle job costing. So if you have clients that do job costing, it's not going to work for them.
That's me. Well, and when I say job costing, it isn't just 5 hours on this customer, 5 hours on that customer. It's the employees have multiple gross pay item codes. They go to different places in the P&L or different budget. They're doing this job versus that job. And because my nonprofits will have the programs, but they may also be renting out, doing, wedding rentals and
right.
There's so many different revenue streams. I'm not
the IOP is not going to work for that. Not yet.
Not yet. Plus, I get 50.
I have to say, it's leaps and bounds beyond where it was 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
So the only downside of desktop's payroll is the direct deposit fee. And I really think that they've jacked it up to get you to go online.
I agree with you. I do. I agree with you.
Got this love-hate thing going on.
And you can't because you don't have the functionality.
I love my QuickBooks, but
Now, Sarah, is IOP, is that part of our IRP?
Yeah.
We can actually sell that?
Yes.
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 Okay.
You know, with any of these programs, I have to, you really have to do a cost analysis. And, hey, I'm on my iPad and I can see the little chat pop up. That's different.
Oh, nice.
I can't see the chat window, but I got a little bubble. Hi, Katrina.
Yeah, I get the bubble, and Katrina, whenever Katrina types something, I can see what she's typing.
Sarah.
I told her we would keep her in the loop. She's on her laptop and doesn't have a cam today.
Who was saying Sarah?
Misha,
Oh, Misha's there? Where are you?
I'm here. That
You're
was a
here?
perfect squirrel, literally. You were talking, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, look at the
I
chat.
know. I squirrel. That's why I'm so tickled pink with my little logo.
I like it because of the squirrel, and I love the cup of coffee that the squirrel has. I don't care what
It's so me, isn't it?
it is. It is.
Oh, you should see it on my desktop.
You're on
It's
mute.
awesome.
And Linda Russell, she's talking, but she's on mute.
I said to Misha, she needs a better bird feeder if the squirrels are getting all her bird feed.
Well, who was it that doesn't like squirrels? It was Jan, wasn't it?
Oh, no, that was Laura, I thought.
It wasn't Jan?
Somebody didn't like them. I love squirrels. I think
love
that's
squirrels.
funny. You know,
I don't care what
I have,
about
I have
squirrels or-
squirrels in my backyard.
the one creature in the backyard that gets the squirrels are the blue jays, Becky. They
Really?
dive bomb if you put peanuts in the shell out on the table, the picnic table, and the
Yeah.
squirrels come to get the blue jays, dive bomb the squirrels.
Yeah, I don't know that.
They jump, and then the blue jays will take one of the peanuts and put it halfway down their throat, and they'll take a second one and fly up in the tree.
Because the Blue Jays around here, Linda, are totally
Wow.
crazy. Because they're
It's a
scrubbing.
member of the crow family.
Man, psycho
Oh,
birds.
okay. I never knew that.
Oh, we've had some crows lately that have been out there. You can hear them, and you look out at the bird feeders, and they've like circled. They're down on the ground, and all the little birds are up there screaming. and-
Oh, saying help me, I can't.
I know.
Oh.
We had a huge woodpecker that kept attacking the window the other day. Felt
Aw.
sorry for it. Like, come on, dude.
I love woodpeckers. I think they're beautiful.
They must have tough heads.
Well, yeah, they're built for that. But, if it's glass,
I know. I was driving the Penny crazy.
I'll bet Penny was going crazy.
It is so black outside. This is there's something
You
coming.
got the storm. I thought I was going to get it. I thought I was going to have another night where I'd have to worry about my internet connection dropping off. But
Mm-hmm.
hasn't
We
made
need
it
the
to us
rain.
yet.
We need the rain bad.
Yeah, we do too now. There's
Here it
been a lot of
comes.
days in
Oh,
a
here
row.
it comes. It's really coming down now. Good.
Yep.
So if it rains too hard, it just sort of runs off.
Right. Well, we're almost out of time. The last thing that Katrina asked about was bank feeds.
Yes.
Oh, I got a
don't know what
story
else
about that too.
Say about bank feeds that we haven't already said. I really feel it's the banks that are not keeping
It's the
up,
banks. It's the banks.
that it is not necessarily QuickBooks Online or Xero or any of them.
I just spent maybe an hour and a half this afternoon with Wells Fargo, who found out that we were using HubDoc. So we're doing HubDoc next week
Yes.
with Matt.
Yes.
Yeah, we can go over it there because it's very interesting how they every time HubDoc looks at the bank, all the bank accounts, savings accounts, brokerage accounts, whatever, we're getting dinged $3.
Oh my gosh. So that's like $3 a day.
Well, no, it's once a month, but
Okay.
whether there's a deposit or not, even dormant accounts. And so, but what happened was the client called the bank and said, "What's this $3 fee? I've never seen this before." And nobody could determine. Nobody had dialed in. Nobody had logged in. So they said, "Oh, it's fraud." And they were like, "Thank goodness they CC'd me on one of these emails." They were going to close all the accounts. This has happened.
Lord.
I can't tell you how many times Wells Fargo has come in and made us change all these bank accounts. All new check. Don't even go there. So I went, no. I bet you it's HubDoc. What's a HubDoc? And so I sent them a link and everything. And the banker said to the client, "Oh my God, they have access to your personal accounts." Well, here we went,
There you go again, right?
There we go. So I know, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we have a workaround. We did a workaround for this afternoon. We're going to set up a unique email address. We're going to try a different way to set up a guest user so that it's, we'll work with. Apparently there was some fraud control attached to the checking accounts that wouldn't let HubDoc in. So we started using the main login. But the main login gives them access to everything.
Right.
So anyway, we can go over it next week how we're sort of working through this. But
Katrina says she's using Wells Fargo for personal and business and has never seen a charge from the bank.
Per image charge? That's interesting. I know, me too. I've got mine hooked up.
Never.
They said that if you log in to these accounts and you click on an image, like a check copy or something, boom, $3. If you never click on it, you don't get a charge. And I'm like, well, so it's Wells Fargo. So I said, well, Bank of America has this analysis type idea. So does SunTrust, where they'll look at all your bank accounts and then decide what level of fees to charge you. Oh, Wells Fargo said, yes, they have a plan like that, but that's what messed us up with all the, I don't know. She went on and on, don't ever do that again, and blah, blah. I said, you gotta be kidding me. So the clients just, she just wanted to know what the $3 was. So
Right.
$15 a month.
$3 a month per account?
$15 a month. She said, whatever.
Okay, so for all of her accounts, it was 15.
But we're being nickeled and dimed at every turn. And every time I turn them on to some new app, it's like per user, per transaction, so I have to be very careful with all these toys that are making my life easier.
But it's extra.
Doesn't necessarily make the client's life easier.
Right. And then you have to decide whether you want to absorb the fees or whether you charge the client.
Right. It's like Expensify. I want to be able to put, I've got one client with like 16 corporate cards. $9 a person. That gets expensive. So I want to be able to say, you're a client of mine. We'll have Expensify. That's going to save us a lot of work. Will it save us 6 hours of work? No. I don't know. Not the cost of 6 hours. Then you start looking at, okay, when I'm paying the bookkeepers and how many hours does it really take you? So, I think the client would love it, but they're not going to be, I can't get any more fees out of them. Not my nonprofit, not in my world.
Right.
And I'm getting good fees.
Right.
So now it bites into my profit. So,
exactly.
It's just, you just have to pick it all apart.
Well, I think everything's going to shake down eventually to a few apps that do things and work well together. Right now, we're on app overload. There is an app for everything. But I think eventually people that are in the lawn care business will have a certain list of apps that work well together and will have their own ecosystem. And you'll talk to lawyers and the same thing for them. But right now you can go crazy and you can.
Well, here's something I can ask the group, and I will be leaving next Saturday. a week from tomorrow, for the Expensify board meeting and roundtable. So I've been making a list of all the features that I love about other apps. So when I go to Expensify, I'm like, look, your engineers are already pulling in checks and you're pulling in bank activity. I said, you need to think outside the box, and how can we add some features to Expensify that may do away with HubDoc or may do away with, like, I love the way Bill.com has its little sync. It's so much easier than Expensify. I like the way, what else do I like? I like the way in Bill.com where I can see I can have one PDF of multiple bills and bust out the different pages to link.
Right.
So I started making a list of little features that I like in other programs that I might want to do in Expensify.
Right.
And
Sarah,
make,
add support too to that
Do what?
list? Can you add some training support to that, please, for me?
Well, you know what? I've been going through. Did you go through all the approved accountant?
No, not yet. I
Okay.
just finished tax season, so I literally am.
Right. So, pages and pages and pages of videos, and they're in little. They're not like an hour video. They're 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. It's really easy to absorb and do at your own pace. And so there's a whole section. I believe it's approval dot.
Hang on a second. I think we
I'm
have
echoing
something.
all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Approval.expensify.com has a wealth of videos. Then their regular help has a ton of videos.
Okay.
So I'm just going to wake up tomorrow and I'm just going to have an Expensify day and really try to learn the program inside and out. But meanwhile, I'm trying to think outside the box on a lot of these things, because they're all interfacing. They're all talking to banks. So.
Right, exactly.
They're coming in at different angles maybe, or different, they have different
Things are
methodologies.
overlapping. That's my point.
Right. And so I think the more we talk and this is the reason I love HubDoc, I love Expensify. I don't know about Bill.com at all, but when you really have a relationship with the principals of those companies and they're proactive and they're changing and they're adding features,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I really love. And see, Katrina loves Bill.com. I hate Bill.com. I love the concept of Bill.com and I love what it does. The interface and the flow I don't love.
Is a little clunky. I agree with you.
Beyond clunky. I mean, it's just the slowest darn thing. So
well, they've improved. They've made some improvements. It used to take days to get the money, but I think they did something, and that time has been reduced. I've seen a real reduction in time getting.
Katrina's right. You have to be careful with the workflow. You have to be very.
Yes.
I don't. You know what? I am so wicked fast in desktop. 2 big monitors, a big keyboard. I don't know how. When I have to work from home on the sofa, in my laptop, I'm just so, to me, slow compared to what I can do if I'm just sitting, at my desk. And Bill.com just seems to be just slows me down. But then the other side of the argument is, well, I'm not printing checks, I'm not running for signatures, I'm not stuffing envelopes, so
right.
I have to. But doggone it, what I want to see is that I guess I want it all. If they're onto something and it works fantastic, so let's work with flow. But we don't have that person to talk to like we do with
That's true. That is true.
I mean, it's such a big corporation. We don't have any contacts, do we, with Bill.com? Do we?
I actually do. I have one person that I've been working with for several years. I've had different people assigned to my account.
Right.
One person comes back to me all the time regularly. So,
But I mean, they could come and give us
you want
a
to
demo that has some pull with the whole, and like the last time I was on support with them at any length of time, you know, I was on support with him for so long, we started chatting, and I told him, you know, that all my wishes, they're really just
well, you know what? Maybe we can
wishes.
have Bill.com.
And he said we're hiring. He said we're looking. So it's really the kind of engineering staff that they have and where their focus is.
Right. But I can ask them to come on and do a demo.
Yeah, Katrina says they're working hard in the background
to make it better. Yeah.
To make it better. I haven't looked if there's a forum where you can put in your.
Yeah, I haven't either. I want to do the certification, but I just recently got QBO recertified. I let my certification lapse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it took hours it takes to deal with all of it.
Yeah.
Yes. But I will admit that was what I took my day to do. I did the VCon with Stacy and Bryce. So it's done and over with now. So I'm happy about that.
Bryce was doing it?
Yes.
Yeah, I know him. He lives, his office is really close to my house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that
Now's that phase of when we just start catching up with all our.
Well, that's what I'm doing. All the things that were put off until after tax season. Well, now it's after tax season. Except
y'all get bombarded with sales calls on Tuesday? Did y'all get bombarded with sales calls on Tuesday?
I don't really. I watch what calls come in. If it looks like it's a sales call and not a person I know, I let it go to the voicemail.
Yeah, I don't answer out of state calls.
Yeah.
No, I don't either.
I practically don't answer my phone. Like my clients know if they want to call, like talk to me on the phone, then they schedule an appointment to talk to me on the phone.
You've got them trained, girl. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the way I am.
You gotta do that. Otherwise, you spend all your time answering the phone.
Right. If you really want an answer from me, email me. Email me questions, and I can type that out and get that back to you quicker than I can talk on the phone.
And caller ID is the best thing and the best invention on earth, I swear.
But you get those.
Except for, what is it? It's Google. Google, and this is what I found. Google will call you from 25 different cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have
Thomson Reuters.
Thomson Reuters says Google Voice, and she doesn't answer them either. Okay, we're out of time, but I want people to stay on a little bit later. I have another question that I'll be asking, but for now, I'm going to turn off the recording. We'll see you next week. Next week is our HubDoc demo. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Have a nice weekend.
Have a nice weekend.
Don't go anywhere, Sarah. I got to talk to you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.